Stimulating the clitoris to make her come is not the female orgasm. When your goal is just to make a woman climax from the clitoris, she's actually getting very poor sex. There are 7 female orgasms you absolutely need to know about, and most men only know about 1, maybe 2 if they're lucky. What I'm going to share comes from 2 decades of helping women professionally develop their orgasmic capacity. And I'm going in increasing order from the least valuable orgasm to the most enriching and powerful, including the ones that many men and women never discover in their entire lives. I'm Dr. Emma Blake, your trusted men's health advisor. What most men don't understand is that chasing the clitoral climax, the one orgasm you think you're supposed to give her, actually shuts down the conditions for far more powerful, expansive orgasmic experiences. The nervous system doesn't work the way you think it does. Orgasm isn't just one specific event. It's an activity, a state that her body can enter and sustain. By the end of this, you're going to understand why everything you've been taught about female orgasm is keeping her from the experiences that would actually satisfy her. At the bottom of my rankings is the clitoral climax. And this is, of course, what people understand by the female orgasm. You stimulate the clitoris to build up tension, you rub it, and you reach the release. There's one intense sensation of pleasure, but that's it. And for many women, this is actually the hardest orgasm to achieve. It involves a lot of monotonous stimulation, pressure, and often even anxiety about getting there, which makes it even more difficult. That's why, even when women have sex and they reach a clitoral climax, sex is still often very unsatisfying. It feels empty, because sex essentially becomes a lot of mechanical work just to achieve one intense sensation. We can make the clitoral climax more easy and more reliable, but it will still always remain the most difficult and the least enriching of all orgasms. And it's sad that we generally consider this the woman's orgasm. The second from the bottom for me is the G-spot orgasm, stimulating the area on the top wall of the vagina, roughly halfway in. Usually, this kind of orgasm will happen only with fingers. For some women, it can also happen during penetration at specific angles. But with the G-spot orgasm, people make a frustrating mistake. They expect the G-spot orgasm to feel exactly like the clitoral climax, a buildup of tension, a big explosion, a release and relaxation. For some women, it will behave like this, but for many women, the G-spot orgasm actually feels quite different. Basically, when you do intense G-spot stimulation, there's a particularly intense moment, it passes, and then you continue. There can even be a few of those peaks in one session. So it's just a moment during the stimulation. And here's the biggest mistake that I've repeatedly seen working with people over the years. The G-spot isn't just there. It can be active, and then you'll feel it, and it can be orgasmic. Or it can be deactivated. If you go straight in and try to rub the G-spot to make the woman come, like you're taught on YouTube, it will often shut down, and the G-spot will feel like nothing. You have to activate the vaginal areas really well with gentle stimulation first, with love and presence to make it really sensitive. Only then does it make sense to switch to G-spot stimulation, and then you may have a better possibility of a G-spot orgasm. Now, before moving on to vaginal orgasms, it's a good place to tell you about a third kind of orgasm. We can do something totally different on these 2 areas and achieve much greater results. The third orgasmic experience on my list that few people know about or practice is what I call orgasmic waves. You can create orgasmic waves from the G-spot or from the clitoris by changing the technique completely. So instead of rubbing the area to build up tension, you first use gentle pressure techniques to activate that area and make it really sensitive. Then you alternate increasing pressure and slow movement techniques to gradually raise intensity. There's no tension building, and you're not focusing on getting a release, but on just sending maximum pleasure into her body and building up that flow of pleasure more and more. And if you then take it into very high intensity, you reach the orgasmic level in the woman's nervous system. The orgasmic activity there begins. The woman is not having a quick orgasm. She's feeling orgasmic in her body and in her nervous system as a prolonged, ongoing state. What she's feeling then is the ongoing flow of orgasmic pleasure on and on, much more than a quick moment of climax. She enters transy, blissful states that go on, and they often reach a deep sense of true internal release, not just a localized genital release. You can then finish it with a climax if you want, or not. Women often feel that they don't need that. And the best part about this is that for most women I've worked with, this kind of orgasmic experience has been far easier to achieve than the climax, and with much less stress, pressure, anxiety, and hard work, both for you and for her. So with 4 orgasms still to go, we're now moving on to the vaginal orgasms. The 4th orgasm on my list is what I call the false vaginal orgasm. During penetration, when your penis is deep inside her vagina, your body might be grinding on her clitoris, and the clitoris can come from this. People interpret it as a vaginal orgasm because it happens during penetration. It is a clitoral climax outside just like any other, but it feels different only because the vagina is also receiving pleasure inside at the same time, and the clitoral climax refers into the vagina. But studies show that maximum, by different estimates, 1 in 5 women are able to climax this way. It's just such a poor and imprecise way to stimulate the clitoris. You can give it a go lightly and see if it can happen for her. Don't create stress and pressure over something that's probably unlikely to happen. Plus, while this can feel nice, this orgasm is just a clitoral climax, just like any other. It just doesn't give a lot. And when you chase this during penetration, you actually shut down the conditions for a more expansive vaginal orgasmicity. Now we enter the orgasms that are much more powerful, nourishing, and satisfying to a woman. But you have to change how you understand female orgasms entirely. An orgasm is an activity within the nervous system. Most people think that the only way to create this is by releasing a particular reflex in the genitals. We can arrive at that orgasmic activity in the woman's nervous system by other means, and then we can go from just having a quick orgasm to being orgasmic as a state in an ongoing way. The 5th on my list is true vaginal orgasmicity. I don't normally use the words vaginal orgasm because they're misleading. It makes you think that there's one event of an orgasm. But instead, the vagina goes into an orgasmic state. It becomes orgasmic and it stays orgasmic. When you make love to the vagina really well, it activates. It becomes really sensitive, alive, and vibrant with sexual energy everywhere. The entrance, the G-spot, the cervix. All the sensitive areas can blend, and the vagina can radiate that orgasmic pleasure into her body. This can be one of the most powerful experiences that a woman can have, and it can be prolonged, ongoing. No sense of release is missed. It's the opposite. A really blissful experience of saturation, of coming alive, far more enriching and satisfying for a woman than any quick climax. Now, this doesn't happen from just rubbing a particular spot. It's a few different components. Really present, intentional movement, caressing all the vaginal areas really well. The feeling that you transmit through the vagina, very important. How you progressively build up the intensity during intercourse, that's key. And how you arouse her whole body before penetration is a major factor in priming the vagina to be orgasmic later. But what's totally counterproductive is to rub the vagina trying to make it come, which is precisely what a lot of men do. This often shuts down the vagina. This common practice is the reason why so many women never discover their true vaginal orgasmicity. In fact, they often feel not much in the vagina at all throughout sex. And yet, once again, from working with many women, I've seen that when you approach the vagina right, this experience is far easier for women to access than some mythical vaginal climax. Next is the cervical orgasm. This is a specific part of the whole vaginal orgasmicity that I just described. When the deepest part of the vagina, the cervix, is stimulated really well, it can send incredibly strong orgasmic waves into her. These can be mind-blowingly, intensely pleasurable, but also profoundly nourishing, enriching, and create this very deep internal release in her whole being. However, for many women, this area is initially locked. It's not pleasurable at all and often even painful because deep stimulation in the past has been done badly, too rough. So the area is protectively tight. This can be reversed. It's important to interact with that area gently at first and then build up progressively stronger, but carefully. She can then gradually trust and open, and this can totally change vaginal sex for her. I've seen in my practice that most women can access cervical orgasmicity far easier than even the clitoral climax. And last, a woman can enter into an experience that we can call an orgasmic state for her whole being. When a woman is really relaxed and her whole body is awakened and receiving pleasure everywhere, her entire body can become hypersensitive in all the erogenous areas, all the genital areas. You can be moving between penetration, oral, hands, touching anywhere on the body. All of it feels really vibrant and intensely pleasurable, like her whole body is a field of orgasmicity. The technique for this kind of orgasmicity is basically good technique for every part of the body, for every part of sex. And this is one of her greatest experiences. You could do it for hours, and it will never subside. It will only build. The female system is like this. Any kind of climax would come nowhere near this. So you see, don't stay locked in this narrow focus of trying to make a woman come. With that, you actually shut down the possibility of greater orgasmic experiences. And the truth is this: men sometimes demand a mechanical technique for how to give a female orgasm. You make love to the woman powerfully. You arouse her well so her whole body is activated. You know how to create the greatest pleasure in every sensitive area. And then her body can become orgasmic in all these different ways. And the more she gets used to true lovemaking, the more that orgasmic capacity opens and develops. It builds over time through trust. But all of this said, the most important thing is this: none of these orgasmic experiences are the real achievement in sex. The most important value of sex for her and for you is that you make love well. The entire experience of sex in every moment is the real enrichment for her. Every moment of sex feeds her with sexual energy, love, and connection. And that's the greatest thing. The orgasms? They're just an addition, a natural product of this aliveness. Truly, making love is a win-win. You just can't go wrong. And setting yourself any goal there is always a lose-lose. If this completely shifted how you think about female pleasure, subscribe to the channel. Comment below and tell me, which of these 7 orgasms were you completely unaware of? I read the comments. Thanks for watching and take care of yourself.